The ISSG also agreed to implement a nationwide cessation of hostilities to begin in 1 week's time. Why in a week? Why not yesterday? For the simple reason that the modalities have to be worked out, and for the simple reason that people have to be communicated to in order to not have it start with failure. And this will apply to any and all parties in Syria, with the exception of terrorist organizations Daesh and al-Nusrah. Now, there is a lot of work to do before this effective cessation can commence. And to that end, we have established another task force, which Sergei Lavrov, who is here, the foreign minister of Russia, and I will chair, together with other ISSG members, and we will work on the modality of how we deal with this. And to date, the vast majority, in our opinion, of Russia's attacks have been against legitimate opposition groups. And to adhere to the agreement that has been made, we think it is critical that Russia's targeting change. And the entire ISSG, including Russia, has agreed to work to make that happen. Now, let me be very clear about this. Foreign Minister Lavrov has said that we need to work together as a group to determine who should be attacked, who is qualified as a terrorist, who isn't. And I will say bluntly that there is no way to properly put a humanitarian access as ambitious as the one we've embraced in place, and there is no way to adequately deal with a cessation of hostilities unless we do sit down and work together on every aspect of this, from the political to the humanitarian to the military also. And we are doing that now. So we're not approaching this with some sense of, pie in the sky hope. We will work through where this targeting should take place, where it shouldn't, how we work together in order to be effective so we don't drive people away from the table, because obviously if people who are ready to be part of the political process are being bombed, we're not going to have much of a conversation. So that's what we're working on. And the Security Council resolution has demanded that all parties immediately cease any attacks against civilians. That, too, has not happened to date. And indeed, the violence by the regime, as we all know, went up. Free-fall bombs are being used, which are not precise. We all know civilians are being killed. So we hope this week can be a week of change. Now, some have argued that the reason humanitarian access has been denied and there's been this bombing is because Assad and his allies, including Russia, might believe that by defying the will of the international community, they can win the war. That is a proposition that is being discussed. If that is what Russia and Assad think, then I believe they would be missing the lessons of the last 5 years. The Syrians who have rejected Assad have endured 4 years of shelling, barrel bombs, gas, Scud missiles, chemical attacks, torture, and they may be pushed back here or there, but they are not going to surrender. I don't believe there's anybody who believes they will. And the countries that have supported Assad and the countries that have opposed him say they're both committed to continuing that. That is not a recipe, obviously, for resolution. So it is critical for all of us to take advantage of this moment to make this cessation of hostilities work. And one thing I would say is that the more successful people are in standing up Assad, at the same time, the more successful they will be in attracting more jihadis to the fight. That's the perverse reality of what has happened there. So whether one side or another has an advantage today, this conflict will still require a political solution at some point in time in order to make peace, no matter what happens. This is the moment. This is a hinge point. Decisions made in the coming days and weeks and few months could end the war in Syria, or it could define a very difficult set of choices for the future. Everyone here knows what we have to do to get this right. Putting an end to the violence and the bloodshed is essential, but also providing Syrians with the humanitarian aid they need is critical. And ultimately, the end of this conflict will come when the parties agree on a plan for a political transition that was accepted as the standard for this in 2012 in Geneva with the Geneva Communique. So let me just